topic in the sports world. Bolt report: Chargers blown out. Lows 63-21 by arch rival Raiders. All right. So guess what? Staley and Telasco fired as everybody wanted. I honestly felt that firing the coach wasn't going to be the smartest thing that you could do at this point, because people have to understand that Brandon Staley was already going to get fired at the end of the year. It was already going to happen. Once they got to 5-8 on Sunday, I think that the Chargers really want to say, okay, you know what? We'll let them finish out the year and we'll fire them at the end of the year. And we'll probably keep our general manager because it's not that big of a deal. But instead, they went ahead and said, you know what? We're going to just fire everybody. You know what I mean? We're going to get rid of the general manager, head coach. We're going to get all this started right now. We're going to start the process of getting rid of our head coach, getting rid of our general manager, and starting the rebuilding process around Justin Herbert. Because unlike the Dodgers, Justin Herbert ain't deferring none of his money. So what happens is now the Chargers have to reset the whole program, because this was supposed to be the all-in season for the Chargers. It truly was the all-in season for the Bolts. And what happened is that it just didn't come to fruition. You could tell by the first game this was going to be an inconsistent season. And it was going to wind up being the same type of season it always is with the Chargers, 9-8 or 8-9. Staley wasn't bad. Come on. He wasn't as bad as you want him to be. Because in his three seasons, he made the playoffs once, but the Chargers were still a team that were above 500 at the same time too. They were middling, but they were not like the Raiders, who were 6-11 and 5-12 and all this other hucky stuff. And we're gonna get better next year. I really do. I understand. I totally feel that he should have been fired. Okay, but I don't like the fact that everybody did not keep the players accountable last night. They were the ones that stuck it up on the field. They should be embarrassed at the end of the day. They looked awful last night. Sorry, I don't care what anybody says. Players don't get excused for poor performances to me. They don't, because the players settle everything on the field. When you got to keep relying on the coach and all that stuff, you suck. The coach ain't nothing but the valet, man. The coach puts together a little game plan. You go from here, you go from there. But at the end of the day, man, it's on the players. And they did not show up last night. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't care who has their gripe and who they're mad at and all that other stuff. You don't know a damn thing about football if you're not going to keep those players accountable. Because at the end of the day, it's the players that make the game. The coaches are just a part of it. They're scenery. And I just really feel bad for this guy that he has to lose his job because these guys wanted to quit last night. You should fire the whole team. Not just the coaches. Get rid of everybody except for Herbert, because he's the only one that really tries. But the rest of y'all got to go. Keenan Allen consistently dropping the ball. Quentin Johnston consistently dropping the ball. Eckler, he's playing. Eckler's so hurt, so banged up. It's just give it up already. It's just a bad situation with the Chargers. You wish this team could just forfeit the rest of the season and just move on. Dude, it doesn't matter that they fired the coach. They weren't going to win another game for the rest of the season anyway. So you doing this was just everybody talking and getting mad and being upset about it. Why don't you switch places with coaches, see how good you do next Sunday? Yeah, I thought so. All right, man. But with that, I just feel bad for the guy because Staley seemed like he was a real comfortable coach. You know what I mean? And I don't think teams like the Raiders and teams like the Browns and teams that have fired their coaches over the last 20 years, 20 times over, should ever say anything about consistent coaches or anything like that or any of that nature. Anybody knows who's been watching football for a long time, it is really tough to win in this league at the end of the day. Okay, and you know what? Staley tried. 2 seasons, he was decent. He was all right. But this year, you know what? What can you do? Mike Williams was out, Joey Bosa's out, Herbert's out, and then you got a bunch of quitters. Straight up, you got a bunch of quitters. So it is what it is. The Chargers, you know, the middling squad. So you know what? It is what it is at the end of the day. Chargers are going to make some very, very necessary changes. Hopefully they overhaul most of this roster with it as well too, and they find themselves some chemistry. You know what I mean? This team seemed like they had some chemistry, but you know what? The media messed it up, man. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real. This was a straight media job right here of getting this coach fired. You know what I mean? Because the Spanos don't operate like that. The Spanos sat up here and had a 1-15 season. Did they fire the coach halfway through? No, they fired the coach at the end of the year. They gave him some dignity. You know what I mean? Frank Wright being fired, that was what was needed. Brandon Staley getting fired after yesterday's game, it was kind of warranted, but at the same time, too, you could just move down the road because at the end of the day, they're not going to win another game. So, what was the point of doing this? See, but fans and media don't really understand when you fire a coach in the middle of the season. Now we got to do stopgap. We got to overhaul everything. We got to go this, there, this, there, this. And then we got to figure out how we got to pay this guy as well, too. When you get to the end of the year, you just hand him his pink slip, and now you're done paying him. Now you got to pay him for the last 3 games of the year. And Telasco, don't worry about it. He'll get a job. He'll get a job in 5 minutes. Don't even worry about it. The next opening at GM, he'll get it because he did a hell of a job putting together his roster. They just didn't perform. That's all it is. It's just bad karma for the Chargers. That's all I can say. But with that, we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into college football Saturday. We have bowl games Saturday, the initial bowl games for the season. Usually we used to get the Boca Raton Bowl today, but it doesn't work like that no more. We used to get 2 bowl games at least today, and then they will give us some on Saturday. But tomorrow they got a 6-game slate for the bowl games.